All right, guys, time to go through our rational number operations study guide. Okay, first thing I need to think about on this question is if I'm going to go fractions or decimals. I should definitely go fractions for this because 6 are repeating decimals and we don't really like to work with those. So I'm going to change negative 18 and 1/10 to negative 18 and 1/10. Remember, to change from a decimal to a fraction, you read it like the correct math way, write it down like a fraction, and then just simplify that fraction if you need to. So since it was 1/10, it goes 1/10, 1/10. So now my problem really says 11 and 1/6 plus negative 18 and 1/10. Now I'm going to go ahead and add them. It's a positive plus a negative, so different sign, subtract. Remember, when you subtract, you're putting your larger number on top. So 18 and 1/10 minus 11 and 1/6. Before I can add or subtract fractions, I have to have common denominators. I would always aim for the smallest denominator that you can. So while I could go to 60ths, I'm actually going to go to 30ths because that would be the least common multiple. So times 3 over here, times 5 over here. So now I have 18 and 3/30ths minus 11 and 5/30ths. Now I can't do 3 minus 5, so I'm going to have to borrow from 18, which becomes a 17. And then remember that 1 whole that I just took? I'm trying to make it into a fraction that has the same denominator. So 30/30ths is equal to 1 whole. So to this 3/30ths, I'm adding 30/30ths, which makes this 33/30ths. Now I can subtract. So 33 minus 5 is 28/30ths. 17 minus 11 is 6. So I have 6 and 28/30ths. It is negative because the larger number was the negative, so negative 6 and 28/30ths, which I can simplify. 28 and 30 are both divisible by 2, so that becomes negative 6 and 14/15ths, which is my final answer. Okay, again, decide fractions or decimals. I would definitely go decimals here. You can use fractions in this situation, but the answer is going to end up with a really large fraction. You're going to have to do a lot of simplifying, so I would say let's turn 1/25th into a decimal instead. Remember, anytime you're trying to change a fraction into a decimal, you can always use top dog in the house. So I'm going to divide the 1 divided by 25. 25 goes into 1 0 times. Add my decimal, add a 0. 25 goes into 10 0 times. Add another 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times. So 1/25th is equal to 4/100ths. So now my problem says negative 7 and 3/100ths times negative 4/100ths. Now I am going to go ahead and multiply them. So 7.03 times 0.04. And multiply. Let's see, 4 times 3 is 12. Carry my 1. 0 plus 1. 4 times 7 is 28. And then don't forget to put your decimal back in. 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So I have 0.2812. It was a negative times a negative. This is my sleeping dog. Negative times negative leaves me with a positive. So positive 0.2812 would be your answer. Okay, order of operations. Remember, we're still using PEMDAS. So parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, left to right. Remember, these happen at the same time, left to right. Add, subtract, left to right. Okay, so I'm starting here with my exponent. To solve that exponent, it is the opposite of 4 squared. So the opposite of 4 times 4, which gives us 16, and it's the opposite, so negative 16. So I have 1.9 divided by negative 0.25 times negative 16. Okay, so I did parentheses, did exponents, multiply, divide, left to right. So there's multiplication and division left over. I have to do this division first. It's not multiply first and then divide, it's left to right. So I'm going to do 1.9 divided by 0.25. Remember, the first number goes out or inside of the house. Now I'm going to slide this decimal over 2 times, slide it over 2 times, put that placeholder 0, and raise your roof. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so now out here I really have 25 outside and 190 inside, and then I can divide that. So 25 goes into 1 0 times, into 19 0 times, into 190 7 times, because 7 times 25 is 175. Subtract that and bring down a 0. 25 goes into 150 6 times, because that is 150. So I get for this 7.6, it was a positive divided by a negative. Remember, your sleeping dog. Positive and negative leaves me with a negative. So this is negative 7.6 times negative 16. And now I get to multiply these. 7.6 times 16. Okay, and multiply. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42, plus 3 is 45. Tic-tac-toe. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 7 is 7. And add it up. 6, 11, 12. And then don't forget to put that decimal back in. One spot, one spot. So we get 121.6. Again, check my sleeping dog. So we had a negative times a negative, which left us with a positive 121.6. Okay, parentheses first. I'm going to start with this set. So different sign, subtract. So I'm going to do 12 minus 5.3. Remember that decimal is after the 12. And I do need to put that placeholder 0 so that I remember to borrow. So I cannot do 0 minus 3. I am going to borrow and make 12 11. The 0 becomes a 10. I have 7 left over. Bring down my decimal. 11 minus 5 is 6. I get 6.7. The bigger number was the 12, which was positive, so it is a positive 6.7. Minus, I'm going to go ahead and do this step next. Again, different sign, subtract. So 15.5 minus 3.0. 5 minus 0, 5 minus 3, and 1. So I get 12.5. Again, it is a positive 12.5 because the 15 was larger. Now I'm here. I need to, it's a subtraction problem, so I need to keep, change, which makes this 6.7 plus negative 12.5. So I am going to subtract those. Put the bigger one on top, 12.5 minus 6.7, and I need to borrow. So 12 turns into 11, the 5 is a 15. 15 minus 7 is 8, 11 minus 6 is 5. And the larger number this time was the negative, so negative 5.8 for my answer. Okay, that is an absolute value bar. Okay, so remember that absolute value makes things positive, but since it's got more than one thing inside of the absolute value bars, this is still order of operations. So absolute value bars are like parentheses in that they are grouping symbols. So I need to solve what's inside of it before I actually do the absolute value step. So I'm going to start here with my negative 6.5 plus my 0.32, different sign, subtract. I'm going to do 6.5 minus 0.32. Don't forget that placeholder 0, because now I can see I need to borrow. So 5 becomes a 4, 0 becomes a 10, that leaves me 8, 4 minus 3 is 1, bring down my decimal, and 6. Because a negative was the larger number, so negative 6.18 is inside of my absolute value bar, and it says the opposite of the absolute value of negative 6.18. Now that that's the only thing left in my absolute value bars, this is when I can actually solve the absolute value. So remember, absolute value makes this positive. It is a positive 6.18 now. And then the opposite of that positive number is a negative number. So negative 6.18 would be my answer.